We are here tonight to perform yet another Homebuddies group stream, play, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Oedipus.
Yay!
It's a good stream.
It's the good.
Yeah.
It's the good stream.
It's the good kind.
Yes. And now we've talked before about like pronunciation and how like I don't think it's all that important anymore. I've grown as a person to understand this, and it's especially true when we get into something like tonight, because we all know this character as Oedipus, but the Greek pronunciation would be more like Oedipus. Yeah. Nobody wants to say that. Nobody wants to say
that's
that.
Stupid. Oedipus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like I've heard that before, Scott. The
So,
Oedipus thing.
yeah, but like nobody wants
What'd
to
you
do
call
that.
me?
Exactly.
Oedipus.
Oedipus. And also, everybody knows this play as Oedipus Rex, even though originally it's more like Oedipus Tyrannus, but Oedipus the Tyrant. But like it doesn't matter. It's all good. We all do what we can.
I can see you screaming inside your brain, though.
No, like I said, I have evolved over the years. I used to be super
Scott has
anal about
a couple pronunciations, though. By the way,
This is Lysistrata.
Lysistrata. Yeah, he's converted me on Lysistrata.
Okay.
It's a tough one.
And he's converted me on Patroclus, but the game Hades still says Patroclus, which I'm not on board with. I always said Patroclus.
Yeah,
but I'm down with Scott's
like,
pronunciation.
it's
I'm down with Scott's.
it's all good. It's all good.
Heracles is Hercules, right? Or
Okay, listen. Can you explain the Hercules thing? Because here, like, Hercules is constantly seen in Greek mythology, but that's not. But really, he was Heracles originally in the Greek text.
Yes. Yeah, the original name by the Greeks is Heracles, which is super important because it's literally Hera and Kleos, which comes together. His name means the glory of Hera, which is super important because Hera is the goddess who hates him, and they are, and
Really?
that's the whole story. But yes, and then the Romans renamed him Hercules.
The drama. Yeah, but then like a lot, but then there's a lot of more contemporary interpretations of adaptations of Greek mythology that use the name Hercules instead of Heracles.
Right. Yeah, that's just one of those. And again, like Oedipus, it just became what it became, and nobody really says the original anymore. And again, there are.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say there are a lot of names that are like that. Like Achilles, his name wasn't Achilles in the Greek; it's Achilleus. So like, there's
Achilles. Real chill dude.
Achilles.
Yeah. So
Achilles.
it's all good. It's all
I love
good.
Mexican Achilles peppers.
Can I get some more Achilles?
Put that mango candy on it, baby. So let's ask this. Obviously, people are still getting into the room before we start. So who has knowledge or history of this play as far as either reading it or performing it or anything like that? Yeah. Ooh.
Okay.
Wait,
it's not a yes across the board.
I missed the question.
Who's either like
knowledge
performed or
of
read
it.
this? Like maybe base knowledge, but have you ever read or performed it or anything like that?
I'm pretty sure I read it and I did Antigone.
Okay.
I read. I want to say it was either excerpts or the whole thing in humanities course in high school, which is crazy.
I was a theater major, so we had to read this in theater history.
It really is. Go ahead.
Well, I'll say my English teacher was also the theater teacher, so almost everything we had to read, and so he loved to cast them, the theater kids who were in his class as the characters as we did the readings, which I didn't mind. Worked out great for me.
I've spent more time with Antigone than I did with Oedipus because in college for a project, so basically like we had to take an intro to sort of theatrical design, and this was across the board. This was lighting design, costume design, set design, etc. So we basically had to put together a whole like show bible for play, and one of the plays that we have to watch doing was, and that's what I did.
That's cool.
We kind of lost your audio, but I think we got it.
Oh, me?
Yeah, it sounded like
Yeah.
it sounded muffled. Just
Oh,
so that,
it's hold on. Sometimes my microphone for whatever reason like loves to get weird. So I'm gonna
Hell
just
yeah.
reduce my
Weird.
noise rate, and I'm also going to
Getting weird.
just unplug my mic and plug it back in. So I'm gonna be silent for just a moment.
Cool. But yes, I think most people have heard of Oedipus, even if they don't know exactly what goes on in this
The
one.
phrase saying Oedipus complex for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that leads us nicely into some content warnings for tonight.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, let's see.
Yeah.
Well, the big ones are incest, suicide, self-mutilation, general threats of violence. We've got nihilism and the futility of existence. I mean, that pretty much covers it.
You got it. That's good, man.
If any of those are triggering for you, at least you'll know. But yeah, I mean, spoiler warnings. Play has been around for thousands of
Being
years.
a human is triggering
So-
enough as it is.
For sure, yeah.
Look, it's not to.
But this one,
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this play.
yeah.
Motherfucker. Sokatu streamed earlier today.
So God, you streamed, you
catch it?
guys.
Oh no, that's awesome, Solkatu.
Yeah.
I didn't know you're doing.
I
that.
saw somebody who enjoyed it.
Frank, yeah.
Yeah. Frank
So
did.
great.
Frank
I
loved
thought you
it.
were, Scott, I thought you were going to be like, man, my kids were watching it and they love it.
Sokatu was playing the electric wind instrument, and our cats were like cobras, just like,
Yeah,
Ah,
they were in trance. So good.
That's amazing.
Okay, so I'm just going to give a little bit of backstory as far as the actual story in the play, just so you know who everybody is and where they're coming from.
Cool.
So there's Laius, Laius, and he is the former king of Thebes, and he was a bad guy. He did some crazy stuff when he was younger. We don't need to get into all of that backstory, but essentially, when his wife Jocasta gave birth to a son, he consulted an oracle, as you do, to find out what the fate of your child is going to be. And the oracle said, "Your child is going to grow up to kill you." He wasn't very happy with that, so he had the kid's feet pinned together by the heels, and then he gave it to his wife Jocasta and said, "Get rid of this baby." Jocasta gave it to a servant, said, "Get rid of this baby." The servant went up to a mountain and left the baby out on a mountaintop. And this is a whole other subject, but essentially, if there's something you have to get rid of ritually, you expose it, you leave it out in the wilderness, because you're not killing it, the elements are. So you're free from any sort of ritual pollution. But
So anybody
lo and
in
behold,
chat who's looking to get rid of somebody
well, that's the way you do it.
in
Yeah.
the woods.
I didn't kill it.
Find their
But I didn't do it. But a shepherd comes by, sees the baby, rescues it, names him Oedipus because that means it has to do with your feet being lame, but because his feet were pinned together, and then hands off the kid. The kid ends up in Corinth, a nearby city, and is given to the king and queen there, who didn't have children at that point, usually in the stories, and they adopt him and they pretend like he is their son. So Oedipus grows up believing that he is the son of the king and queen of Corinth. Now, Oedipus grows up. He's having a great time. He just has a great upbringing as basically a prince in Corinth, and then he goes to the oracle to find out what's in store for him, and he gets the worst oracle anyone has ever gotten. You're gonna have sex with your mom and kill your dad. And he freaks out, as one would. So he decides, I'm not gonna go home. I'm gonna travel in the opposite direction as home, and I'm just never going back. Which again, seems like a pretty good plan. Now at the same time, Laius, his actual father back from Thebes, was going to the oracle, and they happened to meet on the road. And as it turns out, father and son, both kind of assholes, and there's an interaction on the road, and they basically, like, Oedipus won't move over to let Laius' chariot go by. Laius goes out to hit him. Oedipus ends up beating his own father to death, not knowing who he is, and then goes on, and he ends up in Thebes, which has been under the control of the Sphinx, and Oedipus solves the riddle of the Sphinx leaves, and as payment for the conquering hero, Oedipus becomes king, and along with becoming king, you get the queen, who is Jocasta, who is his mom.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah. So
Big hoop.
so that's the backstory, and things are not going well for Thebes. There's a plague that has come upon Thebes because sort of what's going on with the royal family is manifested in a disease among the population. I will say that as we perform tonight, we have a couple of different people playing Oedipus in different scenes. Ancient theater is not really divided up into scenes so much. It's kind of like people come and go, but we've got a couple different people playing Oedipus, so don't be confused when it shifts. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's have some fun.
Share the joy of the incest of Oedipus specifically.
Yes.
Let me have this.
Give it to me.
Here we are. The action takes place in Thebes, in front of the royal palace. The main doors are directly facing the audience. There are altars beside the doors. So that's how your set has to be the end. A crowd of citizens carrying laurel branches garlanded with wool and led by the priest has gathered in front of the altars, with some people sitting on the altar. Oedipus enters through the palace doors.
My children, latest generation born from Cadmus, why are you sitting here with wreathed sticks in supplication to me while the city fills with incense, chants, and cries of pain? Children, it will not be appropriate for me to learn of this from any source, so I have come in person. I, Oedipus, whose fame all men acknowledge. But you there, old man, tell me, you seem to be the one who ought to speak for those assembled here. What feeling brings you to me, fear or desire? You can be confident that I will help. I shall assist you willingly in every way. I will be a hard-hearted man indeed, if I did not pity suppliants like these.
Oedipus, ruler of my native land, you see how people here of every age are crouching down around your altars. Some fledglings barely, strong enough to fly, and others bent by age, with priests as well. For I'm priest of Zeus, and these ones here, they pick of all our youth. The other groups sit in their marketplace with supplement branches, or else in front of palace 2 shrines, or where Ismenius, I'll go with that. Ismenius prophesizes with fire. For our city, as yourself can see, is badly shaken. She cannot raise her head above the depths of so much surging death. Disease infects fruit blossoms in our land. Disease infects our herds of grazing cattle. Makes women in labor lose their children. And deadly pestilence, that fiery god swoops down to blast the city, emptying the house of Cadmus, and fills black Hades with groans and howls. These children and myself now sit here by your home, not because we think you're equal to the gods, no. We judge you, the first of men, in what happens in this life and in our interactions with the gods. For you came here to our Cadmidian city and freed us from the tribute we were paying to that cruel singer. And yet you knew no more than we did and had not been taught. In their stories, the people testify how, with God's help, you gave us back our lives. So now, Oedipus, our king, most powerful in all men's eyes, we're here, supplements, all begging you to find some help for us, either by listening to a heavenly voice or learning from some other human being. For, in my view, men of experience provide advice that gives you the best results. So now, you best of men, raise up our state. Act to consolidate your fame for now. Thanks to your eagerness in early days, the city celebrates you as its savior. Don't let our memory of your ruling here declare that we were first set right again and later fell. No, restore our city so that it stands secure. In those times past, you brought us joy, and with good omens too. Be that same man today. If you're to rule as you're doing now, better to be king in the land of men than in a desert. An empty ship or city wall is nothing if no men share a life together there.
My poor children, I know why you have come. I am not ignorant of what you yearn for I understand that you are ill, and yet, sick as you are, there is not one of you whose illness equals mine. Your agony comes to each one of you as his alone, a special pain for him and no one else. But here in my heart, I sorrow for myself, and for the city and for you, altogether. You are not rousing me from a deep sleep. You must know I've been shedding many tears, and in my wandering thoughts, exploring many pathways. After a careful search, I grasped the only help that I could find and acted on it. So I have sent away my brother-in-law, son of Mucus, Creon, to Pythion, Apollo's shrine, to learn from him what I might do or say to save our city. But when I count the days, the times he's been away, I now worry for what he's doing, for he's been gone too long, well past the time he should have taken. But when he comes, I'll be a wicked man if I do not if I do not act on all that God reveals.
What you have said is most appropriate, for these men here have just informed me that Creon is approaching.
Lord Apollo, as he returns, may find shining fortune, bright as his countenance, attend on him.
It seems that news he brings is good. If not, he would not wear that wreath around his head, a laurel thickly packed with berries.
We'll know soon enough. He's within earshot.
Enter Creon. Oedipus calls to him as he approaches.
My royal kinsman, child of Menicius, what message do you bring us from the god?
Good news, I tell you. If things work out well, then these troubles, so difficult to bear, will end up bringing us great benefits.
What is the oracle? So far, your words inspire in me no confidence or fear.
If you wish to hear the news in public, I'm prepared to speak. Or we could step inside.
Speak out to everyone. The grief I feel for these citizens is even greater than any pain I feel for my own life.
Then let me report what I heard from the god. Lord Phoebus clearly orders us to drive away the polluting stain this land has harbored. It will not be healed if we keep nursing it.
What sort of cleansing? In this disaster, how did it happen?
By banishment. Or atone for murder by shedding blood again, for blood brings on the storm which blasts our state.
How come this guy's not from New York?
Maybe a character later comes in, we'll see.
And the one whose fate the god revealed, what sort of man is he?
Before you came, my lord, to steer up our ship of fate, Laius ruled this land.
I have heard that, but I never saw the man.
Laius was killed, and now the god is clear. Those murderers, he tells us, must be punished, whoever they may be.
And where are they? In what country? Where am I to find a trace of this ancient crime? It will be hard to track.
Here in Thebes, so said the god. What is sought is found, but what is overlooked escapes.
When Laius fell in bloody death, where was he? At home or in his fields or in another land?
He was abroad on his way to that's what he told. Oh, Delphi. I wasn't sure if he was hesitating. On his way to Delphi. That's what he told us. He began the trip, but did not return.
Was there no messenger, no companion who made the journey with him and witnessed what took place? A person who might provide some knowledge men could use?
They all died, except for one who was afraid and ran away. There was only one thing he could inform us of with confidence about the things he saw.
What was that? We might get somewhere if we had one fact. We could find many things if we possessed some slender hope to get us going.
He told us it was robbers who attacked them, not just a single man, a gang of them. They came on foot with force and killed them.
Yeah.
How would a thief have dared to do this unless he had financial help from Thebes?
That's what we guessed. But once Laius was dead, we were in trouble, so no one sought revenge.
When the ruling king had fallen in this way, what bad trouble blocked your path, preventing you from looking into it?
It was the Sphinx. She sang her cryptic song and so forced us to put aside something we found obscure to look into the problem we now faced.
Then I will start afresh and once again shed light on darkness. It is most fitting that Apollo demonstrates his care for the dead man, and worthy of you too. And so you'll see how I will work with you, and as is right, seeking vengeance for this land as well as for the god. This polluting stain I will remove, not for some distant friends, but for myself. For whoever killed this man may soon enough desire to turn his hand, to punish me in the same way as well. Thus, in avenging Laius, I serve myself. But now, my children, quickly as you can, stand up from these altered steps and raise your suppliant branches. Someone must call the Theban people to assemble here. I'll do everything I can. With the gods' help, this will all come to light successfully, or else will prove our common ruin.
Oedipus and Creon go into the palace.
Let us get up, children, for this man has willingly declared just what we came for. And may Phoebus, who sent this oracle, come as our savior and end our sickness.
The priest and the citizens leave. Enter chorus of Theban elders. Oh, sweet speaking voice of Zeus, you have come to glorious Thebes from golden Pytho, but what is your intent? My fearful heart twists on the rack and shakes with fear. O Delian healer, for whom we cry aloud in holy awe, what obligation will you demand from me, a thing unknown, or now renewed with the revolving years? Immortal voice, O child of golden hope, speak to me. First, I call on you, Athena, the immortal daughter of Zeus, and on your sister, too, Artemis, who guards our land and sits on her glorious round throne in our marketplace, and on Phoebus, who shoots from far away. Oh, you three guardians against death, appear to me. If before now you have ever driven off a fiery plague to keep disaster from the city and have banished it, then come to us this time as well. Alas, the pains I bear are numberless. My people, now all sick with plague, our minds can find no weapons to help with our defense. Now the offspring of our splendid earth no longer grow, nor do our women crying out in labor get their relief from a living newborn child. As you can see, one by one, they swoop away off the shores in the evening god like birds, faster than fire, which no one can resist. Our city dies. We've lost count of all the dead. Her sons lie in the dirt, unpitied, unlamented. Corpses spread the pestilence while youthful wives and gray-haired mothers on the altered steps wail everywhere and cry in supplication, seeking to relieve their agonizing pain. Their solemn chants ring out. They mingle with the voices of lament. O Zeus's golden daughter, send your support and strength, your lovely countenance. And that ravenous Ares, god of killing, who now consumes me as he charges on with no bronze shield but howling battle cries, let him turn his back and quickly leave this land with a fair following wind to carry him to the great chamber of Amphitrite, or hospitable waves of Thrace. For if destruction does not come at night, then day arrives to see it does its work. Oh, you who wield the mighty flash of fire, O Father Zeus, with your lightning blast, let Ares be destroyed. O Lycian Lord, how I wish those arrows from the golden string of your bent bow with all their all-conquering force would wing out to champion us against our enemy, and I pray for those blazing fires of Artemis with which she races through the Lycian hills. I call the god who binds his hair with gold, the ones whose name our country shares, the one to whom the Maenads shout their cries, Dionysus with his radiant face. May he come to us with his flaming torchlight, our ally against Ares, a dishonored god amongst gods. Enter Oedipus from the palace.
You pray, but if you listen now to me, you'll get your wish.
It's my turn.
Oh, this is
Oh, it's your turn? Sweet.
Next Oedipus.
Sorry. No big deal.
Oedipus next.
Yeah.
Next.
You pray, but if you listen now to me, you'll get your wish. Hear what I have to say and treat your own disease. Then you may hope to find relief from your distress. I speak as one who is a stranger to the story, a stranger to the crime. If I alone were tracking down this act, I'd not get far without a single clue. But as things stand, for it was after the event that I became a citizen of Thebes, I now proclaim the following to all of you Cadmeans. Whoever among you knows the man it was who murdered Laius, son of Labdacus, I order him to reveal it all to me. And if the killer is afraid, I tell him to avoid the danger of the major charge by speaking out against himself. If so, he will be sent out from this land unhurt and undergo no further punishment. If someone knows the killer is a stranger, from some other state, let him not stay mute. As well as a reward, he will earn my thanks. But if he remains quiet, if anyone through fear hides himself or a friend of his against my orders, here's what I shall do. So listen to my word. For I decree that no one in this land in which I rule as your own king shall give that killer shelter or talk to him. Whoever he may be, or act in concert with him during prayers or sacrifice or sharing lustral water, ban him from your homes, every one of you, for he is our pollution as the Pythian god. In this I am acting as an ally of the god and also of dead Laius. And I pray, whoever the man those who did this crime, one unknown person acting of his own or with companions, the worst of agonies will wear out his wretched life. I pray, too, that if he should become an honored guest in my home, with my knowledge, I may suffer all those things I've just called down upon the killers. And I urge you now to make sure all these orders take effect. For my sake, for the sake of God, and for our barren, godless, ruined land. For in this matter, even if a God were not urging us, it would not be right for you to simply leave things as they are, and not to purify the murder of a man who was so noble, and who was your king. You should have looked into it. But now I possess the ruling power which Laius held in earlier days. I have his bed and his wife. She will afford his children if his hopes to have a son had not been disappointed. Children from a common mother might have linked Laius and myself, but as it turns out, fate swooped down onto his head. So now I'll fight on his behalf. And if this matter concerned my own father, I will strive to do everything I can to find him, the man who spilled his blood, and thus avenge the son of Labdacus and Polydorus, of Cadmus and Agenor from old times. As for those who do not follow what I urge, I pray that God send them no fertile land, no, nor any children in their woman's wombs. May they all perish in our present fate, or one more hateful still. To you others, you Cadmians who support my efforts, may justice, our ally, and all the gods attend to us with kindness all our days.
My lord, since you extended your oath to me, I will say this. I am not the murderer, nor can I tell you who the killer is. As for what you're seeking, it's for Apollo, who launched his search, to state who did it.
That is well said. But no man has power to force the gods to speak against their will.
May I then suggest what seems to be the next best course of action?
You may indeed, and if there's a third course too, don't hesitate to let me know.
Our Lord Caesarius, I know can see into things like Lord Apollo. From him, my king, a man investigating this might well find out clear details of the crime.
Well, I've taken care of that. It's not something I could overlook. At Creon's urging, I have dispatched 2 messengers to him, and have been wondering for some time now why he has not come.
Apart from that, there are rumors, but inconclusive ones from a long time ago.
What kind of rumors, man? I'm looking into everything. Are you not listening to me?
It was said that Larius was killed by certain travelers.
Yes, I heard as much, but no one has seen the one who did it.
Well, if the killer has any fears, once he hears your curses on him, he will not hold back, for they are serious.
When a man has no fear of doing the act, he's not afraid of words.
No, not in the case where no one stands there to convict him. But at last, Terius is being guided here, our godlike prophet, in whom truth resides more so than in all other men.
Enter Tiresias, led by a small boy.
Am I still going? When do I end?
Yes, you're still good.
Okay.
I clicked
This
out.
is-
500,
five-
right?
539.
Okay. Tiresias, my man, you who understand all things. What can be taught and what cannot be spoken of? What goes on in heaven and here on earth? You know, although you cannot see how thick our shade is. And so
Whoa,
we
the
find
shade.
in you alone, great seer, our shield and savior. For Phoebus Apollo, in case you have not heard the news, has sent us an answer to our question. The only cure for this infecting pestilence is to find the men who murdered Laius and kill them, or else expel them from this land as exiles. So do not withhold from us your prophecies, from voices of the birds, or by some other means. Save this city and yourself. Rescue me. Deliver us from all pollution by the dead. We are in your hands. For a mortal man, the finest labor he can do is help with all his power other human beings.
Alas, alas, how dreadful it can be to have wisdom when it brings no benefit to the man possessing it. This I knew, but it had slipped my mind. Otherwise, I would not have journeyed here.
What is wrong? You have come, but you have seemed distressed.
Let me go home. You must bear your burden to the very end, and I will carry mine, if you will agree with me.
What you are saying is not customary and shows little love toward the city which nurtured you. If you deny us your prophetic voice.
I see your words are also out of place. I do not speak for fear of doing the same.
If you know something, then by the gods, do not turn away. We are your suppliants, all of us. We bend our knees to you.
You are all ignorant. I will not reveal the troubling things inside me, nor will I state they are your griefs as well.
What are you saying? Do you know and will not say? Do you intend to betray me and destroy this city?
I will cause neither nor me nor you distress. Why do you vainly question me like this? You will not learn a thing from me.
You most disgraceful of disgraceful men, you would move something made of stone to rage. Will you not speak out? Will your stubbornness never have an end?
You blame my nature, but do not see the temper you possess. Instead, you're finding fault with me.
What man who listened to these words of yours would not be enraged? You insult the city.
Yet events will still unfold for all my silence.
Since they will come, you must inform me.
I will say nothing more. Fume on about it if you wish, as fiercely as you can.
I will. In my anger, I will not concede just what I make of this. You should know I get the feeling you conspired in the act and played your part. And as much as you could do is short of killing him with your own hands. If you could use your eyes, I would have said that you had done this work all by yourself.
Oh, is that so? Then I would ask you to stand by the very words which you yourself proclaimed, and from now on not speak to these men or me, for the accursed polluter of this land is you.
You dare to utter shameful words like this? Do you think you can get away with it?
I am getting away with it. The truth within me makes me strong.
Who taught you this? It could not have been your craft.
You did. I did not want to speak, but you incited me.
What do you mean? Speak it again so I can understand you more precisely.
Did you not grasp my words before, or are you trying to test me with your question?
I guess I did not fully understand your words. Tell me again.
I say that you yourself are the very man you're looking for.
That's twice you stated this disgraceful lie. Something you will regret.
Shall I tell you more, so you can grow even more enraged?
As much as you desire, it will be useless.
I will say that your dearest family, unknown to you, you are living in disgrace. You have no idea how bad things are.
Do you really think you could just speak out, say things like this, and still remain unpunished?
Yes, I can, if the truth has any strength.
It does, but not for you. The truth is not in you. For your ears, your mind, your eyes are blind.
You are a wretched fool to use harsh words, which all men soon enough will use to curse you.
You live in endless darkness of the night, so you can never injure me or any man who can glimpse daylight.
It is not your fate to fall because of me. Lord Apollo will make that happen. He will be enough.
Is this something Creon has devised, or is it your invention?
Creon is no threat. You have made this trouble all your own.
Wealth and ruling power, skill after skill, surpassing all in life's rich rivalries. How much envy you must carry with you, if for this kingly office which the city gave me, for I did not seek it out, Creon, my old trusted family friend, has secretly conspired to overthrow me and pay off a double-dealing quack like this, a completely bogus priest who can only see his own advantage, who in his special art is absolutely blind. Come on, tell me, have you ever give evidence of your wise prophecy? When the Sphinx, that singing bitch, was here, you said nothing to set the people free. Why not? Her riddle was not something the first man to stroll along could solve. A prophet was required, and there the people saw your knowledge was no use. Nothing from the birds or picked up from the gods. But then I came, Oedipus, who knew nothing, yet I finished her off, using my wits rather than relying on birds. That's the man you want to overthrow, hoping no doubt to stand up there with Creon once he's king. But I think you and your conspirator in this will regret trying to drive me from the state. If you do not look so old, you'd find yourself the punishment. You find out the punishment of your arrogance deserves. Your arrogance deserves.
To us, it sounds as if Tereus has spoken in anger. And Oedipus, you have done so too. This isn't what we need. Instead, we should be looking into this. How can we best act on the god's decree?
You may be a king, but I do have the right to answer you. And I control that right, for I am not your slave. I serve Apollo, and thus will never stand with Creon, signed up as his man. So I say this to you. Since you have chosen to insult my blindness, you have your eyesight, and you do not see how miserable you are, or where you live, or who it is that shares your household. Do you know the family you come from? Without your knowledge, you have turned into the enemy of your own relatives, those in the world below and those up here, and the dreadful scourge of the two-edged curse of father and mother will one day drive you from this land in exile. Those eyes of yours, which now can see so clearly, it will be dark. What harbor will not echo with your cries? Where on Cytherion will they not soon be heard? Once you have learned the truth about the wedding, by which you sailed into this royal house, a lovely voyage, but the harbor's doomed. You have no notion of the quantity of other troubles which will render you and your own children equals. So go on, keep insulting Creon and my prophecies, for among all living mortals nobody will be destroyed more wretchedly than you.
Must I tolerate insolence from him? Get out and may the plague get rid of you. Off with you, now! Turn your back and go, and don't come back here to my home again.
I would not have come, but you summoned me.
I did not know you would speak so stupidly. If I had, you would have waited a long time before I called you here.
I was born like this. You think I am a fool, but to your parents, the ones who made you, I was wise enough.
Wait, my parents? Well, who was my father?
This day will reveal that and destroy you.
Everything you speak is so, cryptic, like a riddle.
Well, in solving riddles, are you not the best there is?
Oh, mock my excellence, but you will find out I am truly great.
The success of yours has been your ruin.
I do not care if I have saved the city.
I will go now. Boy, lead
Yes.
me. Lead me.
Let him guide you back. You're in the way. If you stay, you will provoke me. Once you're gone, you won't annoy me further.
I'm going, but first I shall tell you why I came. I do not fear the face of your displeasure. There is no way you can destroy me. I tell you, the man you have been seeking all this time while proclaiming threats and issuing orders about the one who murdered Laos, that man is here, Lais. According to reports, he is a stranger who lives here in Thebes, but he will prove to be a native Theban. From that change he will derive no pleasure. He will be blind, although he now can see. He will be poor, although he is now is rich. He will set off for a foreign country, groping the ground before him with a stick. And he will turn out to be the brother of the children in his house, their father too, both at once, and the husband and the son and the very woman who gave birth to him. He sowed the same womb as his father and murdered him. Go in and think on this. If you discover I have spoken falsely, you can say I lack all skill in prophecy.
Exit Tiresias, led off by the boy. Oedipus turns and goes back into the palace. Speaking from the Delphic rock, the oracular voice intoned a name. But who is the man, the one who, with his blood-red hands, has done unspeakable brutality? The time has come for him to flee, to move his powerful foot more swiftly than those hooves of horses riding like a storm. Against him, Zeus's son now springs armed with lightning, fire, and leading on the inexorable and terrifying Furies. From the snowy peaks of Mount Parnassus, the message has flashed, ordering all to seek the one whom no one knows. Like a wild bull, he wanders now, hidden in the unnamed wood through rocks and caves, alone with his despair on joyless feet, keeping his distance from that doom uttered at Earth's central navel stone. But the fatal oracle still lives, hovering above his head forever. That wise interpreter of prophecy stirs up my fears, unsettling dread. I cannot approve of what he said, and yet I cannot deny it. I am confused. What shall I say? My hopes are fluttering here and there with no clear glimpse of past or future. I have never heard of any quarreling past or present between those two, the house of Labdacus and Polybus' son, which could give me evidence enough to undermine the fame of Oedipus as he seeks vengeance for the unsolved murder in the family of Labdacus. Apollo and Zeus are truly wise. They understand what humans do. But there is no sure way to ascertain if human prophets grasp things any more than I do, although in wisdom one man may leave another far behind. But until I see the words confirmed, I will not approve of any man who censures Oedipus, for it was clear when the winged Sphinx went after him, he was a wise man then. He witnessed it. Well, we witnessed it. He passed the test and endeared himself to all the city. So in my thinking, he never will be guilty of a crime. Enter Creon.
You citizens, I've just discovered that Oedipus, our king, has leveled charges against me, disturbing allegations. That I cannot bear, so I have come here. In these present troubles, if he believes that he has suffered injury from me, in word or deed, then I have no desire to keep on living into ripe old age, still bearing his reproach. For me, the injury produced by his report is not a single isolated matter. No, it has the greatest scope of all. If I end up being called a wicked man here in the city, a bad citizen, by you and by my friends,
Perhaps he charges you spurred on by the rash power of his rage, rather than his mind's true judgment.
was it publicized that my persuasion convinced Tiresias to utter lies?
That's what was said. I have no idea just what that meant.
Did he accuse me and announce the charges with a steady gaze and a normal state of mind?
I do not know. What those in power do, I do not see. But he's approaching from the palace. Here he comes in person.
Enter Oedipus from the palace.
And now it's Oedipus as played by Cameron.
Yeah.
You! How did you get here? Have you grown so bold-faced that you now come to my house? You, who are obviously the murderer of the man whose house it was, a thief who clearly wants to steal my throne. Come, in the name of all the gods, tell me this. Did you plan to do it because you thought I was a coward or a fool? Or did you think I would not learn about your actions as they crept up on me with such deceit? Or that, if I knew, I could not deflect them? This attempt of yours is not madness, to chase after a king's palace without friends, without a horde of men to seek a goal, which is only gold or factions could attain?
Will you listen to me? It's your turn now to let me make a suitable response, aight? Once you hear that, then judge me for yourself.
You are a clever talker, but from you I will learn little. I know you now, a troublemaker, an enemy of mine.
At least first listen to what I have to say, okay?
Do not bother trying to convince me that you have done no wrong.
If you think being so stubborn and forgetting common sense is wise, then you're not thinking as you should.
And if you think you can try to harm a man who is a relative of yours and escape without penalty, then you have not been thinking wisely.
I agree. What you've just said makes sense. So tell me the nature of the damage you claim you're suffering because of me.
Did you or did you not persuade me to send for Terius, that prophet?
Yes, and I'd give you the same advice.
How long it is since Laius?
Did what? What's Laius got to do with anything?
Since Laius was carried off and disappeared. Since he was killed so brutally?
A long time. Many years have passed since then.
At that time, was Terius as skilled in prophecy?
Then, as now, he was honored for his wisdom.
And back then, did he ever mention me?
No, never. Not while I was with him.
Did you not investigate the killing?
Yes, of course we did, but we found nothing.
Why did this man, this wise man, not speak up?
I don't know. And when I don't know something, I like to hold my tongue.
You know enough. At least you understand enough to say.
What? If I really do know something, I will not deny it.
If Terius were not working with you, he would not name me as the one who murdered Laius.
If he says this, well, you're the one who knows, but I think the time has come for me to question you the way that you've been questioning me.
Ask whatever you wish. You'll never prove that I'm the murderer.
Then tell me this. Are you not married to my sister?
Since you ask me, yes. I don't deny that.
And you two rule this land as equals?
Whatever she desires, she gets from me.
And am I not third, equal to you both?
That's what makes your friendship so deceitful.
No, not if you think this through as I do. First, consider this. In your view, would anyone prefer to rule and have to cope with fear rather than live in peace, carefree and safe, if his powers were the same? I, for one, have no natural desire to be king in preference to performing royal acts. The same is true of any other man whose understanding grasps things properly. For now, I get everything I want from you, but without the fear. If I were king myself, I'd be doing many things against my will. So how can being a king be sweeter to me than royal power without anxiety? I'm not yet so mistaken in my mind that I want things which bring no benefits. Now all men are my friends and wish me well. And those who seek to get something from you now flatter me, since I'm the one who brings success in what they want. So why would I give up such benefits for something else? A mind that's wise will not turn treacherous. It's not my nature to love such policies. And if another man pursuing such things, I would not work for him. I could not bear to. If you want proof of this, then go to Delphi. Ask the prophet if I brought back to you exactly what was said. At that point, if you discover I have planned something that I've conspired with Tiresias, then arrest me and have me put to death, not merely on your own authority, but on mine as well, a double judgment. Do not condemn me on an unapproved charge. It's not fair to judge these things by guesswork. To assume bad men are good or good men bad? I say a man who throws away a noble friend is like a man who parts with his own life, the thing most dear to him. Give it some time, then you will see clearly, since only time can fully validate a man who's true. A bad man is exposed in just one day.
For a man concerned about being killed, my lord, he has spoken eloquently. Those who are unreliable give rash advice. If some conspirator moves quick against me in a secret and with speed, I must be quick to make my counterplans.
That's great.
If I just rest and wait for him to act, then he'll succeed in what he wants to do, and I'll be finished.
What do you want, to exile me from here?
No, I want to die, not just run off, so I can demonstrate what envy means.
You're determined not to change your mind or listen to me?
You'll not convince me, for there's no way that I can trust you.
I can see that you've become unbalanced.
I'm sane enough to defend my interests.
You should be protecting mine as well.
But you're a treacherous man. It's your nature.
And what if you're wrong?
I still have to govern.
Not if you do it badly.
Oh, Thebes, my city.
I too have some rights in Thebes. It's not yours alone.
The palace doors open.
My lords, an end to this. I see Juxta coming from the palace, and just in time. With her assistance, you should bring this quarrel to a close.
Enter Jocasta from the palace.
You foolish men, why are you arguing in such a stupid way with our land so sick? Aren't you ashamed to start a private fight? You, Oedipus, go in the house, and you, Creon, return to yours. Why inflate a trivial matter into something huge?
Sister, your husband Oedipus intends to punish me in one of two dreadful ways. To banish me from my father's country or arrest me and then have me killed.
That's right. Lady, I caught him committing treason, a vicious crime against me personally.
Let me not prosper but die a man accursed. If I have done what you accuse me of,
Oedipus, for the sake of the gods, trust him in this. Respect that oath you made before all heaven. Do it for my sake and for those around you.
I beg you, my lord, consent to this. Agree with her. What is it then you're asking me to do? Pay Creon due respect. He has not been foolish in the past, and now that oath he's sworn his power. Are you aware just what you're asking? Yes, I understand. Then tell me clearly what you mean to say. You should not accuse a friend of yours and thus dishonor him with a mere story, which may be false, when he has sworn an oath and therefore could be subject to a curse. By this point, you should clearly understand what you are doing when you request this, seeking to exile me for Thebes or kill me. No, my sacred Helios, the god who stands preeminent before the rest. May I die the most miserable of deaths, abandoned by the gods and my friends, if I ever abhorred such a thought. But the destruction of our land wears down my troubled heart, and so does this quarrel, if you two add new problems to this one, which have for so long been afflicting us. Let him go then, even though it means I must be killed or sent here from exile, forced out in disgrace. I have been moved to act compassionately by what you said, not by Creon's word. But if he stays here, he will be hateful to me.
you are so stubborn. Obviously unhappy to concede, and when you lose your temper, you go too fucking far. But men like that find it most difficult to tolerate themselves. In that, there's justice.
Why not go? Just leave me alone.
I'll leave, since I see you do not understand me. But these men here know that I'm a reasonable man.
Exit Creon away from the palace, leaving Oedipus and Jocasta and the chorus on stage.
Lady, will you escort our king inside?
Yes, but once I've learned what happened here.
They talked. Their words gave rise to uninformed suspicion. But even unjust words inflict sour wounds.
From both of them?
Yes.
What caused it?
With our country already in distress, it is enough, it seems to me. Enough to leave things as they are.
And now I will be taking over as Oedipus. Now, do you see the point you've reached, thanks to your noble wish to dissolve and dull what I feel in my heart?
My lord, I have declared it more than once, so you must know it would have been quite mad if I abandoned you. who, when this land, my cherished Thebes, was in great trouble, set it right again, and who, in these harsh times, should prove a trusty and successful guide.
By all the gods, my king, please let me know why in this present matter you now feel such unremitting rage.
To you, I'll speak, lady. Since I respect you more than I do these men,
Okay.
it's Creon's fault. He
Okay.
it's Creon's fault. He conspired against me.
I'm lost. By all, wait, hold on.
In the squirrel.
In the squirrel.
Hold on. In this
Understood,
squirrel,
yeah.
what was said? Tell me.
Creon claims that I'm the murderer, that I killed Laius.
Does he know this firsthand, or has he picked it up from someone else?
No, he set up that treasonous prophet. What he says himself all sounds quite innocent.
All right, forget about those things you've said. Listen to me and ease your mind with this. No human being has skill in prophecy. I show you why with this example. Okay, King Laius once received an oracle. I won't say it came straight from Apollo, but it was from those who did assist the god. It said Laius was fated to be killed by a child of ours, one born to him and me. Now, at least according to the story, one day Laius was killed by foreigners, by robbers, at a place where 3 roads meet. Besides, before our child was 3 days old, Laius pinned his ankles tight together and ordered other men to throw him out on a mountain rock where no one ever
Jeez.
goes. And so Apollo's plan that he'd become the one who'd kill his father didn't work. And Laius never suffered what he feared, and that his own son would be his murderer. Although that's what the oracle had claimed. So don't concern yourself with prophecies. Whatever gods intend to bring about, they themselves make known quite easily.
Lady, as I listen to these words of yours, my soul is shaken, my mind confused.
Oh, why do you say that, sweetheart? What's worrying you, sexy baby?
I,
You want some milk?
Come on.
I thought I heard you say that Laius was murdered at a place where 3 roads meet.
Hold on. Keep on losing everything. That's what was said, and people still believe.
Where is this place? Where did it happen?
In a land called Phocius? 2 roads lead there, one from Delphi, and one from Dahlia.
How long is it since these events took place?
The story was reported in the city just before you took over royal power here in Thebes.
Oh, Zeus, what have you done? What have you planned for me?
What is it, Oedipus baby? Why is your spirit so troubled?
Not yet. No questions yet. Tell me this, Laius. How tall was he? How old a man?
He was big, with hair starting to turn white. In shape, he was not all that unlike you.
The worse for me. I may have set myself under a dreadful curse without my knowledge.
What do you mean, sweet boo-boo? Look at you, my king. I start to tremble because I'm turned on.
I am afraid, full of terrible fears the prophet sees. But you can reveal this better if you know now, and will tell me one more thing.
I am shaking, but if you ask me, I will answer you.
Did Laius have a small escort with him, or a troop of soldiers like a royal king?
5 men, including a herald, went with him. A carriage carried Laius.
Alas, it's all becoming clear. Lady, who told you this?
A slave, the only one who got away. He came back here.
Is there any chance he's in our household right now?
No, not now. Once he returned and understood that you had just assumed the power of slaughtered Laius, he clasped my hands, begged me to send him off to where our animals graze in the field so he could be as far away as possible from the side of town. So I sent him. He was a slave, but he'd earned my gratitude. He even deserved an even greater favor.
Okay, I'd like him to return back here to us, and quickly, too.
I mean, that can be arranged, but why is that something you would want to do?
I'm afraid I've already said too much. That's why I want him here now before me.
Okay, then he will be here. But now, my lord, I deserve to know why you are so distressed.
My forebodings now have grown so great, I will not keep them from you For who is there I shall confide in rather than in you about such a twisted turn of fortune? My father was Polybus of Corinth, my mother Merope, a Dorian. There I was regarded as the finest man in all the city, until, as chance would have it, something most astonishing took place, though it was not worth what it made me to do. At dinner, there was a man who was quite drunk from too much wine, began to shout at me, claiming I was not my father's real son. That troubled me, but for a day at least, I said nothing, though it was difficult. The next day, I went to ask my parents, my father and mother. They were angry at the man who had insulted me and them this way, so I was reassured. But nonetheless, the accusations always troubled me. The story had become known everywhere, and so I went in secret off to Delphi. I didn't tell my mother or my father. Apollo sent me back without an answer, so I didn't learn what I had come to find. But when he spoke, he uttered monstrous things, strange terrors, and horrific miseries. My fate was to defile my mother's bed, to bring forth to men a human family that people could not bear to look upon, to slay the father who engendered me. When I heard that, I ran away from Corinth. From then on, I thought of it just as a place beneath the stars. I went to other lands so I would never see that prophecy fulfilled, the abomination of my evil fate. In my traveling, I came across that place in which you say your king was murdered. And now, lady, I will tell you the truth. As I was on the move, I passed close by a spot where 3 roads met. And in that place, I met a herald in a horse-drawn carriage with a man inside, just as you described. The guide there tried to force me off the road, and the old man, too, got personally involved. Now, in my rage, I lashed out at the driver, who was shoving me aside. The old man, seeing me walking past him in the carriage, kept his eye on me, and with his double whip, struck me on the head right here on top. Well, I retaliated in good measure. With the staff I held, I hit him a quick blow and knocked him from his carriage to the road. He lay there on his back. Then I killed them all. If that stranger was somehow linked to Laius, who is now more unfortunate than me? What man could be more hateful to the gods? No stranger and no citizen can welcome him into their lives or speak to him. Instead, they must keep him from their doors. A curse I laid upon myself. With these hands of mine, these killers' hands, I now contaminate the dead man's bed. Am I not depraved? Am I not utterly abhorrent? Now I must flee into exile, and there, a fugitive, never to see my people. Never set foot in my native land again. Or else I must get married to my mother and kill my father, Polybus, who raised me, the man who gave me life. If anyone claimed this came from some malevolent god, would he not be right? Oh, you gods, you pure, blessed gods, may I not see that day. Let me rather vanish from the sight of men before I see a fate like that engulf me.
My lord, to us these things are ominous, but you must sustain your hope until you hear the servant who is present at the time.
I do have some hope left, at least enough to wait for the man we've summoned from the fields.
Once he comes, what do you hope to hear?
I'll tell you. If we discover what he says matches what you say, then I'll escape disaster.
What was so remarkable in what I said?
You said that in his story, the man claimed Laius was murdered by a band of thieves. If he still says that there were several men, then I was not the killer, since one man could never be mistaken for a crowd. But if he says it was a single man, the scales of justice will sink down on me.
Well, that's certainly what he reported then. He cannot now withdraw what he once said. The whole city heard him, not just me alone. But even if he changes that old news, he can not ever demonstrate, my lord, that Laius's murder fits the prophecy. For Apollo clearly said the man would die at the hands of an infant born from me. Now, how did that unhappy son of ours kill Laius when he'd perished long before? As far as these predictions go, from now on, I would not look for confirmation anywhere.
You're right in what you say, but nonetheless, please Send for that peasant. Don't fail to do that.
I'll call him here as quickly as I can. Didn't she already say he? Okay, let's go
Chorus leader
inside.
standing there the whole time, like, I don't know if I need to hear any of this.
She's like looking at her nails. I'll not do anything which does not meet your approval.
Oedipus and Jocasta go into the palace together. I pray fate still finds me worthy, demonstrating piety and reverence in all I say and do. In everything, our loftiest traditions consecrate those laws engendered in the heavenly skies, whose only father is Olympus. They were not born from mortal men, nor will they sleep and be forgotten. In them lives an ageless, mighty God. Insolence gives birth to tyranny, that insolence which vainly crams itself and overflows with so much wealth beyond what's right or beneficial, that once it's climbed the highest rooftop, it's hurled down by force. Such a quick fall, there's no safe landing on one's feet. But I pray the God will never abolish the type of rivalry that helps our state. That God I will hold on to always, the one who stands as our protector. But if a man conducts himself disdainfully in what he says and does, and manifests no fear of righteousness, no reverence for the statutes of the gods, may miserable fate seize such a man for his disastrous arrogance if he does not behave with justice, when he strives to benefit himself, appropriates all things impiously, and like a fool profanes the sacred. What man is there who does such things, who can still claim he will ward off the arrow of the gods aimed at his heart? If such actions are considered worthy, why should we dance to honor God? No longer will I go in reverence to the sacred stone, earth's very center, or to the temple of Abe or Olympia, if these prophecies fail to be fulfilled and manifest themselves to mortal men. But you, all-conquering, all-ruling Zeus, if by right those names belong to you, let this not evade you in your ageless might. For ancient oracles which dealt with Laius are withering. Men now set them aside. Nowhere is Apollo honored publicly, and our religious faith is dying away. Jocasta enters from the palace and moves to an altar to Apollo, which stands outside the palace doors. She's accompanied by one or two servants. Director's choice.
You leading citizens of Thebes, I think it's appropriate for me to visit our God's sacred shrines, bearing in my hands this garland and an offering of incense. For Oedipus has let excessive pain seize on his heart and does not understand what's happening now by thinking of the past, like a man with sense. Instead, he listens to whoever speaks to him of dreadful things. I can do nothing more with my advice, and so, Lycian Apollo, I come to you who stand here beside us, a suppliant with offerings and prayers for you to find some way of cleansing what corrupts us. For now we are afraid, just like those who on a ship see their helmsman terrified.
Jocasta sets her offerings on the altar. A messenger enters, an older man.
Strangers, can you tell me where I find the house of Oedipus, your king? Better yet, if you know, can you tell me where he is?
His home is here, stranger, and he's inside. This lady is the mother of his children.
May her happy home always be blessed, for she is his queen, true mistress of his house.
I wish the same for you, stranger. Your fine words make you deserve as much. But tell us now why you have come. Do you seek information, or do you wish to give us some report?
Lady, I have good news for your whole house, and for your husband too.
What news is that? Where have you come from?
I've come from Corinth. I'll give you my report at once.
Corinth accent.
And then you will no doubt be glad, although perhaps you will be sad as well.
What is your news? How can it have two such effects at once?
The people who live there in the lands beside the isthmus will make him their king. They have announced it.
What are you saying? Is old man Polybus no longer king?
Did I stutter? No, he is dead and in his grave.
What? Has Oedipus's father died?
Yes. If what I'm telling you is not the truth, then I deserve to die.
You there! Go at once and tell this to your master.
A servant goes into the palace.
Oh, you oracles of the gods, so much for you. Oedipus has for so long been afraid that he would murder him. He ran away, and now Polybus has died, killed by fate, not by Oedipus.
Enter Oedipus from the palace.
Ah, Jocasta, my dearest wife, why have you summoned me to leave our home and come out here?
Oh, you must hear this man as you listen. Decide for yourself what these prophecies, these solemn proclamations from God, the gods amount to.
Who is this man? What report does he have for me?
He comes from Corinth, bringing news that Polybus, your father, is no longer alive. He's dead.
What? Stranger, let me hear from you in person.
If I must first report my news quite plainly, then I should let you know that Polybus has passed away. He's gone.
By treachery, or was it the result of some disease?
With old bodies, a slight weight on the scales brings final peace.
Apparently his death was from an illness?
Yeah, and from old age.
Alas, indeed. Lady, why should any man pay due reverence to Apollo's shrine, where his prophet lives, or to those birds who scream out overhead? For they foretold that I was going to murder my own father. But now he's dead and lies beneath the earth, and I am here. I never touched my spear. Perhaps he died from a desire to see me? So in that sense, I brought about his death. But for those prophetic oracles, they're worthless. Polybus has taken them to Hades, where he lives now.
Was I not the one who predicted this some time ago?
You did, but then I was misguided by my fears.
You must not keep on filling up your heart with all these things. Kiss me.
But my mother's bed, surely I should be afraid of that?
Why should a man whose life seems ruled by chance live in fear? A man who never looks ahead, who has no certain vision of his future. It's best to live haphazardly, as best one can. Do not worry, you will wed your mother. It's true in their dreams a lot of men have slept with their own mothers, but someone who ignores all this bears life more easily.
Everything you say would be commendable if my mother were not still alive. But since she is, I must remain afraid. Though all that you have said is right.
My mom's still alive, so I gotta disagree.
I gotta be careful. Still gotta be careful.
Some salient points, but
But still, your father's death is a great comfort to us.
Yes, it is good, I know, but I do fear that lady. She is still alive.
This one you fear. What kind of woman is she?
Old man, her name is Merope, wife to Polybus.
And what in her name makes you so fearful?
Stranger, a dreadful prophecy sent from the god.
Is it well known or something private which other people have no right to know?
No, it's public knowledge. Loxias once said that it was my fate that I would marry my own mother and shed my father's blood with my own hands. That's why, many years ago, I left my home in Corinth. Things turned out so well, but nevertheless, it gives the sweetest joy to look into the eyes of one's own parents.
And because you were afraid of her, you stayed away from Corinth?
And because I did not want to be my father's killer.
My lord, since I came to make you happy, why do I not relieve you of this fear?
You would receive from me a worthy thanks.
That's why I really came, so your return might prove a benefit to me back home.
But I will never go back to my parents.
My son, it is so clear you've no idea what you are doing.
What do you mean, old man? In the name of the gods, tell me.
If that's the reason you're a fugitive and won't go home...
I feared Apollo's prophecy might reveal itself in me.
You were afraid you might become corrupted through your parents?
That's right, old man. That was my constant fear.
Are you aware these fears of yours are groundless?
And why is that? If I was born their child...
Because you and Polybus were not related.
What do you mean? Was not Polybus my father?
He was as much your father as this man here, no more, no less.
But how can any man who means nothing to me be just the same as my own father?
But Polybus was not your father, no more than I am.
Then why did he call me his son?
If you must know, he received you as a gift many years ago. I gave you to him.
Happy birthday. Ooh, I hope you kept the receipt.
He really loved me. How could he if I came from someone else?
Because before you came, he had no children. That made him love you.
When you gave me to him, had you bought me or discovered me by chance?
I found you in Citharon's forest valleys.
What were you doing wandering up there?
I was looking at the flocks of sheep.
You were a shepherd, just a hired servant roaming here and there?
Yeah, my son, I was. But at that time, I was the one who saved yous.
Okay, so when you picked me up and took me off, what sort of suffering did you save me from?
The ankles on your feet could tell you that.
What? My old misfortune. Why would you mention that?
Your ankles had been pierced and pinned together. I set them free.
My dreadful mark of shame. I've had that scar there since I was a child.
That's why fortune gave you your very name, the one that you still carry.
Okay, tell me, in the name of the heavens, did my parents, my father or mother, do this to me?
I don't know. The man who gave you to me knows more of that than I do.
You mean to say you got me from someone else? It wasn't you who stumbled on me?
Nah, it wasn't me. Another shepherd gave you to me.
Who was he? Do you know? Can you tell me any details, things you're quite sure of?
Well, I think he was one of Laius's servants. Yeah, that's what people said.
You mean King Laius, the one who ruled this country years ago?
Yeah, that's right. He was one of the king's shepherds.
Oh no.
Is he still alive? Can I still see him?
You people live here. You best answer that.
Do any of you here now know this man, this shepherd he describes? Have you seen him, either here in the fields or in Thebes? Answer me. It's critical. Time at last to find out what this all means.
This man he mentioned is, I think, the very peasant from the fields you wanted to see earlier. But of this, Jocasta could tell more than anyone.
Lady, do you know the man we sent for just minutes ago? The one we summoned here, is he the one this messenger refers to?
Why ask me what he means? Forget all that. There's no point trying to sort out what he said.
With all these indications of the truth here in my grasp, I cannot end this now. I must reveal the details of my birth.
In the names of the gods, no! If you have some concern for your own life, then stop. Do not keep on investigating this. I will suffer. That will be enough.
Be brave. Even if I should turn out to be born from a shameful mother, whose family for 3 generations had been slaves, you will still have your noble lineage.
Listen to me. I beg you. Do not do this.
I will not be convinced. I should not learn the whole truth of what these facts amounts to.
But I care about your own well-being. What I tell you is for your own benefit.
What you're telling me for my own good just brings me more distress.
Oh, you unhappy man. May you never find out who you really are.
Go, one of you, and bring that shepherd here. Leave the lady to enjoy her noble line.
Alas, you poor, miserable man. There's nothing more I can say to you. I'll never speak another word again.
Jocasta runs into the palace.
Why is the queen rushed off, Oedipus, so full of grief? I fear a disastrous storm will soon break through her silence.
Then let it break, whatever it is. As for myself, no matter how base-born my family, I wish to know the seed from where I came. Perhaps my queen is now ashamed of me and of my insignificant origin. She likes to play the noble lady. But I will never feel myself dishonored. I see myself a child of fortune, and she is generous, that mother of mine, from whom I spring, and the months, my siblings, have seen me by turns both small and great. That's how I was born. I cannot prove false to my own nature, nor can I ever cease from seeking out the facts of my own birth.
If I have any power of prophecy or skill in knowing things, then by the Olympian deities, you, Citharon, at tomorrow's moon will surely know that Oedipus pays tribute to you as his native land, both as his mother and his nurse, and that our choral dance and song acknowledge you because you are so pleasing to our king. O Phoebus, we cry out to you. May our song fill you with delight. Who gave birth to you, my child? Which one of the immortal gods bore you to your father Pan, who roams the mountainsides? Was it some bedmaid of Apollo, the god who loves all country fields? Perhaps Selene's royal king? Or was it the Bacchanalian god dwelling in the mountaintops who took you as a newborn from maiden nymphs of Helicon, with whom he often romps and plays?
You elders, though I've never seen the man we've been seeking for a long time now, if I had to guess, I think I see him. He's coming here. He looks very old, as is appropriate, if he's the one. And I know the people coming with him, they're servants of mine. But if you've seen him before, you'll recognize him better than I will.
Yes, I recognize the man. There's no doubt. He worked for Laius, a trusty shepherd.
Stranger from Corinth, let me first ask you, is this the man you spoke of?
Yes, he is. He's the man you see in front of yous.
You, old man, over here, look at me. Now answer what I ask. Some time ago, did you work for Laius?
Yes, as a slave, but I was not bought. I grew up in his house.
How did you live? What was the work you did?
Most of my life I've spent looking after sheep.
Okay, whereabouts? In what specific places?
On Citharon or the neighboring lands.
Do you know if you came across this man anywhere up there?
Doing what? What man do you mean?
This man over here, this one. Have you ever met him before?
Right now I can't say I remember him.
My lord, that's surely not surprising. Let me refresh his failing memory. I think he will remember all too well the time we spent around Citharon. He had 2 flocks of sheep and I had 1. I was with him there for 6 months at a stretch, from early spring until the autumn season. In winter, I'd drive my sheep down to my folds, and he'd take to his pens that Laius owned. Isn't that what happened? What I just said?
You spoke the truth, but it was long ago.
All right then. Now, tell me if you recall how you gave me a child, an infant boy, for me to raise as my own foster son.
What? Why ask about that?
This man here, my friend, was that young child back then.
Damn you! Can't you keep quiet about it?
Hold on, old man. Don't criticize him. What you have said is more objectionable than his account.
My noble master, what have I done wrong?
You did not tell us of that infant boy, the one he asked about.
That's what he says, but he knows nothing, a useless busybody.
If you won't tell us of your own free will, once we start to hurt you, you will talk.
By all the gods, don't torture an old man. What's wrong with you?
One of you there, tie up this fellow's hands.
Why are you doing this? It's too much for me. What is it you want to know?
That child he mentioned, did you give it to him?
I did. How I wish I died that day.
Well, you are going to die if you don't speak the truth.
And if I do, the death I suffer will be even worse.
It seems to me the man is trying to stall.
No, I'm not. I've already told you I did give him the child.
Where did you get it? Did it come from your home or somewhere else?
It was not mine. I got it from someone.
Which of our citizens, whose home was it?
In the name of the gods, my lord, don't ask. Please, no more questions.
If I have to ask again, then you will die.
The child was born in Laius's house.
From a slave or from some relative of his?
Alas, what I'm about to say now, it's horrible.
It may be horrible, but nonetheless, I have to hear it.
If you must know, they said the child was his, but your wife inside the palace is the one who could best tell you what was going on.
You mean she gave the child to you?
Yes, my lord.
Why did she do that?
So I would kill it.
The wretched woman was the mother?
Yes, she was afraid of dreadful prophecies.
What sort of prophecies?
I mean, the story went that he would kill his father.
If that was true, why did you give the child to this old man?
I pitied the boy, master, and I thought he'd take the child off to a foreign land from where he was from. But he rescued him only to save him for the greatest grief of all. For if you are who this man says you are, you know your birth carried an awful fate.
So it all came true. It's all so clear now. Oh, light, let me look at you one final time. A man who stands revealed as cursed by birth, cursed by his own family, and cursed by murder, where I should not kill.
Oedipus moves into the palace. O generations of mortal men, how I count your life as scarcely living. What man is there, what human being who attains a greater happiness than mere appearances, a joy which seems to fade away to nothing? Poor wretched Oedipus, your fate stands here to demonstrate for me how no mortal man is ever blessed. Here was a man who fired his arrows well. His skill was matchless, and he won the highest happiness in everything. For Zeus, he slaughtered the hook-taloned Sphinx and still her cryptic song. For our state, he stood there like a tower against death. And from that moment, Oedipus, we have called you king and honored you above all other men, the one who rules in mighty Thebes. But now, who is there whose story is more terrible to hear? Whose life has been changed so by trouble, by such ferocious agonies? Alas, for celebrated Oedipus, the same spacious place of refuge served you both as child and father, the place you entered as a new bridegroom. How could the furrow where your father planted, poor wretched man, have tolerated you in such silence for so long? Time, which watches everything and uncovered you against your will, now sits in judgment of the fatal marriage where child and parent have been joined so long. Oh, child of Laius, how I wish I'd never seen you. Now I wail like one whose mouth pours forth laments. To tell it right, it was through you I found my life and breathed again, and then, through you, the darkness veils my eyes. The second messenger enters from the palace.
Oh, you most honored citizens of Thebes, what actions you will hear about and see, what sorrows you will bear, if as natives here you are still loyal to the house of Labdicus. I do not think the Ister of the Phasis rivers could cleanse this house. It conceals too much and will bring to light the vilest things, brought on by choice and not by accident. What we do to ourselves brings us most pain.
The calamities we knew about before were hard enough to bear. What can you say to make them worse?
I'll waste no words. Know this, noble Jocasta, our queen is dead.
Oh, that poor unhappy lady. How did she die?
She killed herself. You did not witness it, so you'll be spared the worst of what went on. But from what I recall of what I saw, you'll learn how that poor woman suffered. She left here frantic and rushed inside, the fingers of both hands clenched in her hair. She ran through the hall straight to her marriage bed. She went in, slamming both doors shut behind her and crying out loud to Laius, who's been a corpse a long time now. She was remembering the child of theirs, born many years ago, the one who killed his father, who left her to conceive cursed children with that son. She lay moaning beside the bed where she, poor woman, had given birth twice over. A husband from a husband, children from a child. How she died after that, I fully don't know. With a scream, Oedipus came bursting in. He would not let us see her suffering, her final pain. We watched him charge around back and forth. As he moved, he kept asking us to give him a sword, so he he tried to find the wife who was no wife, whose mother's womb had given birth to him and to his children. As he raved, some immortal power led him on. No human in the room came close to him. With a dreadful howl, as if someone had pushed him, he leapt at the double doors, bent the bolts by force out of their sockets, and burst into the room. Then we saw her. She was hanging there, swaying with twisted cords roped around her neck. When Oedipus saw her with a dreadful groan, he took her body from the noose in which she hung, and then, when the poor woman was lying on the ground, what happened next was a horrific sight. From her clothes, he ripped the golden brooches as she wore as ornaments, raised them high, and drove them deep into his eyeballs, crying as he did so, "You will no longer see all those atrocious things I suffered, the dreadful things I did. No, you have seen what you never should have looked upon, and what I wished to know you did not see. So now and for all future time will be dark." With these words, he raised his hand and struck, not once, but many times, right in the sockets. With every blow, blood spurted from his eyes, down his beard, and not in single drops, but showers of dark blood splattering like hail. So what these two have done has overwhelmed not one alone. This disaster swallows up a man and wife together. That old happiness they had before in their rich ancestry was truly joy, but now lament and ruin, death and shame, and all calamities which men can name are theirs to keep.
You know what I said? You said you were hoping I didn't see it. Then you went into very, very graphic detail. And has that suffering man found some relief to ease his pain?
He shouts at everyone to open up the gates and thus reveal to all Cadmenians his father's killer, his mother's, but I must not say those words. He wants them to cast him out of Thebes. So the curse he laid will not come on this house if he lives still inside. But he is weak and needs someone to lead him on his way. His agony is more than he can bear, and he will show you. For on the palace doors the bolts are being pulled back. Soon you will see a sight which even a man filled with disgust would have to pity.
Oedipus enters through the palace doors.
Oh, an awful fate for human eyes to witness. An appalling sight, the worst I've ever seen. Oh, you poor man, what madness came on you? What eternal force pounced on your life and, springing further than the longest sleep, brought you to this fearful doom? Alas, alas, you unhappy man. I cannot look at you. I want to ask you so many things. There's much I wish to learn. You fill me with such horror. Yet there is so much I must see.
Alas, alas, how miserable. I am such wretchedness. Where do I go? How can the wings of air sweep up my voice? Oh, my destiny! How far you have sprung now.
To a fearful place from which men turn away. A place they hate to look upon.
Oh, the dark horror engulfing me. This nameless visitor I can't resist, swept here by fair and fatal winds. Alas for me! And yet again, alas for me. The pain of stabbing brooches pierces me. The memory of agonizing shame.
In your distress, it's not astonishing you bear a double load of suffering, a double load of pain.
My friend, so you still care for me, as always, and with patience nurse me now I'm blind. Alas, alas, you are not hidden from me. I recognize you all too clearly. Though I am blind, I know that voice well.
You have carried out such dreadful things. How could you dare blind yourself this way? Oh, God drove you to do it. Oh.
It was Apollo, friends. It was Apollo. He brought on these troubles, the awful things I suffer. But the hand which stabbed out my eyes was mine alone. In my wretched life, why should I have eyes when there was nothing sweet for me to see?
What you have said is true enough.
What is there for me to see, my friends? What can I love? Whose greeting can I hear and feel delight? Hurry now, my friends, lead me away from Thebes. Take me somewhere, a man completely lost, utterly accursed, the mortal man the gods despise the most.
Unhappy in your fate and in your mind, which now knows all. Would I have never known you?
Whoever the man is who freed my feet, who released me from that cruel shackle and rescued me from death, may that man die! It was a thankless act. Had I perished then, I would not have brought such agony to myself or to my friends.
I agree. I, too, would have preferred if you had died.
I would not have come to kill my father, and men would not see in me the husband of the woman who gave birth to me. Now I am abandoned by the gods, the son of a corrupted mother, conceiving children with the woman who gave me my own miserable life. If there is some horrific suffering worse than all the rest, then it too belongs in the fate of Oedipus.
I do not believe what you did to yourself is for the best. Better to be dead than alive and blind.
Oh,
Don't-
shit.
Wow.
Am I right? Am I right?
Don't tell me what I've done is not the best. And from now on, spare me your advice. If I could see, I don't know how my eyes could look at my own father when I come to Hades, or at my wretched mother. Against those two, I have committed acts so vile that even if I hanged myself, that would not be sufficient punishment. Perhaps you think the sight of my own children might give me joy? No! Look at how they were born! They could never bring delight to eyes of mine, nor could the city or its massive walls or the sacred images of its gods. I am the most abhorred of all men, the finest man of all those bred in Thebes. I have condemned myself, telling everyone that had to banish for impiety the man the gods have now exposed as sacrilegious, a son of Laius, too. With such polluting stains upon me, could I set eyes on you and hold your gaze? No. And if I could somehow block my ears and kill my hearing, I would not hold back. I'll make a dungeon of this wretched body, so I would never see or hear again. For there is joy in isolated thought, completely sealed off from a world of pain. Oh, Citharon, why did you shelter me? Why, when I was handed over to you, did you not do away with me at once, so I would never reveal to men the nature of my birth? Polybus and Corinth, the place men called my home, my father's ancient house. You raised me well, so fine to look at, so corrupt inside. Now I've been exposed as something gross, contaminated in my origins. Oh, you three roads and hidden forest grove, you thicket and defile where three paths met, you who swallowed down my father's blood from my own hands, do you remember me? What I did there in front of you? And then what else I did when I came here to Thebes? Oh, you marriage rites, you gave birth to me, and when I was born, you gave birth again. Children from that child of that same womb, creating an incestuous blood family of fathers, brothers, children, brides, wives, and mothers, the most atrocious act that humans can commit. But it is wrong to talk about what it is wrong to do. So in the name of all the gods, act quickly. Hide me somewhere far from the land of Thebes, or slaughter me. Hurl me in the sea, where you will never have to gaze upon me again. Come, allow yourself to touch a wretched man. Listen to me, and do not be afraid, for this disease infects no one but me.
Crayon is coming. He's just in time to plan and carry out what you propose. With you, God, he's the only one still left to act as a guardian of Thebes.
How will I talk to him? How can I ask him to put his trust in me? Not long ago, I showed I had no faith in him at all.
Enter Creon.
Oedipus, I've not come here to mock or blame you for disasters in the past. But if you can no longer value human beings, at least respect our Lord the Sun, whose light makes all things grow, and do not put on show pollution of this kind in such a public way. For neither earth nor light nor sacred rain can welcome such a sight.
Creon speaks to the attending servants.
Take him inside the house as quickly as you can. The kindest thing would be for members of his family to be the only ones to see and hear him.
By all the gods, since you are acting now so differently from what I would expect, and have come here to treat me graciously, the very worst of men, do what I ask. I will speak for your own benefit, not mine.
What are you so keen to get from me?
Cast me out as quickly as you can, away from Thebes, to a place where no one, no living human being will cross my path.
That is something I could do, of course, but first I wish to know what the god says about what I should do.
But what he said was all so clear. The man who killed his father must be destroyed, and that corrupted man is me.
Yes, that is what was said. But now, with things the way they are, the wisest thing is to ascertain quite clearly what to do.
Will you then be making a request on my behalf when I am so depraved?
I will. For even you must now trust in the gods.
Yes, I do. And I have a task for you as I make this plea. That woman in the house, please bury her as you see fit. You are the ones to give your own the proper funeral rites. But never let my father's city be condemned to have me living here while I still live. Let me make my home up in the mountains by Kithaeron, whose fame is now my own. When my father and mother were alive, they chose it as my special burying place. And thus, when I die, I shall be following the orders of the ones who tried to kill me. And yet I know this much. No disease, nor any other suffering can kill me. For I would never have been saved from death unless I were to suffer a strange destiny. But wherever my fate leads, just let it go. As for my 2 sons, Creon, there's no need for you to care for them on my behalf. They are men, and no matter where they are, they'll always have enough to live on. But my two poor daughters have never known my dining table placed away from them or lacked their father's presence. They shared everything I touched, so it has always been. So take care of them for me. But first let me feel them with my hands, and then I'll grieve. Oh, my lord, you noble heart, let me do that. If my hands could touch them, then it would seem as if I were with them when I could still see.
Some servants lead Antigone and Ismene out of the palace.
What's this? By the gods, I hear something. Is it my 2 children crying? Has Creon taken pity on me and sent out the children, my dear treasures? Is that what's happening?
Yes, I sent for them. I know the joy they've always given you, the joy which you feel now.
I wish you well. And for this act, may the gods watch over you and treat you better than he treated me. Ah, my children, where are you? Come here, come into my arms. You are my sisters now.
Oh.
Feel these hands which turned your father's eyes once so bright into what you see now, these empty sockets. He was a man who, seeing nothing, knowing nothing, fathered you with the woman who had given birth to him. I weep for you. Although I cannot see, I think about your life in days to come, the bitter life which men will force on you. What citizens will associate with you? What feasts will you attend and not come home in tears with no share in the rejoicing? When you're mature enough for marriage, who will be there for you, my children? What husband ready to assume the shame, tainting my children and their children too? What perversion is not manifest in us? Your father killed his father and then plowed his mother's womb, where he himself was born, conceiving you where he, too, was conceived. Those are the insults they'll hurl at you. Who then will marry you? No one, my children. You must wither, barren and unmarried. Son of Menoikeus, with both parents gone, you alone remain these children's father. Do not let them live as vagrant paupers, wandering around unmarried. You are a relative of theirs. Don't let them sink in lives of desperation like my own. Have pity. You see them now at their young age, deprived of everything except a share in what you are. Promise me, you noble soul, you will extend your hand to them. And you, my children, if your minds were now mature, there's so much I could say. But I urge you, pray that you may live as best you can and lead your destined life more happily than your father.
You have grieved enough. Now go into the house.
I must obey, although that's not what I desire.
In due time, all things will work out for the best.
I will go, but you must know there are conditions.
Tell me. Once I hear them, I'll know what they are.
Send me away.
Very logical, actually.
Send me away to live outside of Thebes.
Only the god can give you what you ask.
But I've become abhorrent to the gods.
Then you should quickly get what you desire.
So you agree?
I don't like to speak thoughtlessly and say what I don't mean.
Come then, lead me off.
All right, but let go of the children.
No!
He's been shaking them the whole time.
Do not take them away from me.
Don't try to keep control of everything. You have lost the power your life once had.
Creon, Oedipus, Antigone, Ismene in attendance all enter the palace. You residents of Thebes, our native land, look on this man, this Oedipus, the one who understood that celebrated riddle. He was the most powerful of men. All citizens who witnessed this man's wealth were envious. Now what a surging tide of terrible disasters sweeps around him. So while we wait to see that final day, we cannot call a mortal being happy before he's passed beyond life, free from pain. And that is the end of the play.
The end.
What a ride.
Woo!
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Way to
how's
go
that more?
with your commitment, Scott?
Yeah, good shit.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's the moral of the story. Even the happiest person, you can't say that's a happy person who lived well until the very end, because you never know what's going to happen right at the end.
Could have
Oof.
fucked his mom. Is that the moral of the story, or is it like,
Well,
don't challenge fate, idiot?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
that was fate. He
there's-
did challenging fate was trying to get. The fate was you're going to kill your dad and fuck your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, by trying to escape it, he incurred it.
He did try.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
he never
was
did.
He
was
didn't
Old Boy
necessarily try to
heavily
escape it. He
inspired?
got dumped in the woods as a baby.
Yeah.
Old Boy was heavily inspired by this, I assume. The Korean.
There's so many adaptations and cool versions of this that have been done over the years.
Spoilers for Old Boy, everybody. If you haven't seen Old Boy,
Well, I mean, there you go. Yeah. I did want to mention just really briefly. It talked before. I put a note in chat there. So Delphi is an actual place in Greece. You can visit it today. There are some of the most amazing ruins in all of the ancient worlds that are still in Delphi. And there were a bunch of temples there, but there was a very famous one to Apollo, and that's where the oracle was. And it was a lady who would give these weird proclamations, and she would give them in. It was sort of like spoken word, kind of like code, and then other people would write that down and then interpret what it meant. Because as they figured out, there was a vent underneath that temple that had all sorts of poisonous gases coming up out of a subterranean vent, and she was high and just spouting out all this nonsense, and then they would figure out what it could mean in prophecies. Probably. I mean, that's all probably what happened. But it's sure, right? But it's super cool, and so one of the things is also there's this thing there at Delphi. It's called the Omphalos stone, and it means navel, and that's what they referred to a couple times in the story. And it's this long story, but it's essentially Delphi is supposed to be the center of the world, and that is the belly button of the world. And it's actually a stone, and it's there today. You can go and see it, and I mean it's a
That's
stone
really
that
cool.
somebody carved and put there. But also because Delphi is way up on a hill. There's this fun part where when you're driving down on the tour bus, they stop the bus on the side of the road, and if you look all the way down into this canyon, you can see a place where there are 3 roads that meet, and they say that's where Oedipus killed his dad, and you're like, okay.
Shit.
And you're like, nah.
Oh my god!
A lesser known
Yeah.
Delphino is the center of Super Mario Sunshine. So
Well, there you go.
maybe inspired.
Matt's Island.
Could be. It could be.
Matt's Island and Animal
Yeah.
Crossing.
yeah.
That's
Beautiful.
so neat.
So yeah.
Beautiful. What a
So
time.
that's
Yeah.
Oedipus.
Thanks for this.
Good job, everybody.
The
Thank
next
you.
time we're going to do
Scott.
Antigone, the sequel.
Excellent good job this time, Scott, for divvying up all the lines. I know
Yeah.
that was
Good
that's a tough
job.
one, but
This
you
this
nailed
one was definitely more tricky than other plays we've done before.
Yeah.
And so, Cameron, sorry, I missed that you were going back and forth, but it worked out great.
There's like weirdly less characters in this one than ones we've done before.
Yeah, it's.
I think so.
But hey.
Yeah, usually it was
Yeah.
like Old Man
Yeah,
47 and Messenger
Yeah.
12. and
Cameron,
shit,
are
you know.
you in stage 28? I need to know.
I don't know. I literally just brought up. I googled theaters, and so this what came up.
It looks very similar to what was the Phantom of the Opera sets inside of stage 28 at Universal. But that
good.
sound
That's
it
cool.
got torn down.
Oh,
Sad. But you know,
Yeah.
the Super Mario World's got to go somewhere.
Gotta go somewhere.
That's true.
Gotta
They
land
gotta
somewhere.
put that thing
Yeah.
somewhere. I also wanted to say thank you so much for the subscription, the resubscriptions I think we're at the beginning of the stream. I did see it. Thank you so very much. So yeah, what all you fine people, what do you have going on this week? Let's start with Janelle.
yeah. You know what? We got a heckin' cooking stream coming up soon with a cosplay goal. I have ordered and received Soldier 76's apron for
Grillmaster
his
skin?
grill master. So yeah, that will be a goal. Yes, I'm just waiting on some equipment to come, and then I think we're gonna do enchiladas. I think very soon, and
Nice.
or
You're
that
gonna
or
make something in the
albondigas.
rave kitchen.
So yeah, in the rave kitchen.
Rave
So I'll be over
kitchen.
on that side, and yeah, the rave kitchen is set up. I just hung up curtains today. I'm really excited about those. But yeah, you can follow me at Janelle Santa Cruz on everything. I think all of you guys already do, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Homebuddies community. I love this.
Yes. Going around, Jessica. We'll go clockwise.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't think there's anything to talk about.
Okay. Well, news. Did you have a new schedule?
Minecraft Monday, Doomsday, Thursday is rest day, Doomsday is Tuesday.
That's where you read Doonesbury, the comic Doonesbury.
Very.
That's the one. Yeah.
She actually just talks about the composition of sand dunes.
Yeah.
It's
Really
riveting stuff.
She's really into it. Yeah.
I really found my passion during the pandemic. It's really great.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I don't know. Yeah, you can see me on Scott's channel sometimes too. But this was super fun. My kind of jam.
Yeah.
Cool.
Always fun.
Cameron.
Yeah. So first of all, Troy is going to be happening not tomorrow, but next Sunday. And so we'll have a lockdown
yeah.
on the time.
And my eyes may look like this without makeup.
We are doing something tomorrow too, Kim.
Yes. Oh yeah. We are. What do we have a time for that?
Probably 3:00 or 4:00 will be.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna do the hot chip challenge
Oh,
tomorrow.
Never
We're gonna
again.
play-
Never again.
yeah, we're gonna play.
I got
Phasmo.
more.
We're gonna
Hell
be playing.
yeah,
we're gonna be
brother. I'm-
playing- yeah, it's gonna be
Listen,
good.
I'm with it.
We're gonna play Phasmo, and then the following Sunday we're gonna watch Troy in the Homebuddies Discord. So anybody who wants to join, I rebought it on Apple so that we can.
Want
in fact-
to join is like maybe not the right statement, but like thinks
Yeah.
it might be entertaining to join.
I think it's gonna be a good time. Brad,
If I have to suffer, yeah, a bunch of you better come and suffer with me.
Yes.
you got Brad Pitt's butt in the movie.
That is actually the
that's-
best part of the movie.
Yeah, true. That's fair.
And then outside of that, just go over. I'm going to be playing, finishing up Doom. I think I'm on the last level of Doom because now my internet's finally back up and going. So finally took a minute, but finally got going. And outside of that, I think just go to my YouTube. I watched the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, and I did a little spoiler-free thoughts on that. And Cameron watches everything. New episode on Monday, and I'm doing X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Ooh,
Oh,
interesting.
man.
Oh wow!
Okay.
Oh yeah,
What a choice! What a choice!
what a choice.
All right.
Cameron, I'm gonna have to ask you about what House of M is another time.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
no problem.
That's a whole conversation.
Yes,
That's
I
a
am
good
aware.
question to ask. Yeah.
Emma, what have you got going on?
Okay, well, if you haven't already, so with Ben, we're still broadcasting on Ben.tv. So my show is at 6 p.m. every night on Ben.tv, on the Roku app, on Samsung, etc. It's only a half hour now, but we are doing short form content. So we have like longer, more polished versions of what you're seeing on Ben.tv coming out every day on the Ben YouTube channel. On the Venn download. Okay. So we broke it into 3 different verticals. So there's Venn Esports, Venn Plays, and Venn Download. My stuff is on Venn Download, though you will see me on Venn Plays as well sometimes. And if I ever get into esports, maybe I'll be on there too. But I don't know. I do
Never
like
say
speed
never.
running a lot, though. So be sure that you are subscribed to all of those channels. But the Watch Ben Instagram and Twitter accounts are still going to be our Instagram and Twitter. So that's that. And then I also am now streaming on Thursdays on my channel. I streamed at 7 last week. I'm going to try to start a little bit earlier next week. I'm hoping to start more around like 6:30 because my schedule is shifting around yet again. It's in constant flux. But Thirst Days are a go. We just started Code Realize last week. And we made a very classic cocktail, or a modern variation on a classic cocktail called a gin sling. It was super duper fun. So yeah, I will be doing that again this coming Thursday with a new cocktail that Andy designed, thinking the cocktail was more of a concept than something I was actually going to make. So hopefully I don't burn my apartment
Got a lot
down.
of shit in it.
Oh my. Speaking of Andy, what have you got going on? What's new?
Me? So I just acquired a very legal way to play retro games. So I'm going to be doing a couple extra streams a week other than the normal Monday and Tuesday, which will be kind of going in the deep dive of the back catalog stuff that I wanted to play as a kid, didn't really get around to. So we've started Eternal Darkness on the GameCube. Baller of a game. Very, it's written very like Lovecraftian, a lot of different timelines, and there's a sanity effect where your UI will, like your TV will turn off, or your character will die and revive. Like, yeah, the game like messes with you. They're going to be doing probably Metroid Prime 1 and 2, and then I never played Majora's Mask, which is supposed to be one of the better creepy.
Good luck, I want to
buddy.
watch you play that. I want to play that too. I've never done it.
I've barely seen, like, I've seen maybe towards the end, but like so much of it I know nothing about, and I'm so excited to play it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
And Andy's also, you're going on like in just a little bit.
Yeah, I think I was going to continue with Eternal Darkness a little bit
Yeah.
after the show
cool.
here.
Cool. Yeah. So look for Andy later on tonight.
Scott, do you have any exciting upcoming projects?
I do. All my normal streams. But yes, so this book you can get right now, Naming Your Little Geek. But I just a couple days ago signed the contract for my next book, which will be Naming Your Little All-Star. So it'll be similar to this, but all sports people, athletes from a bunch of different sports, men and women. It's really cool. I've already started doing the research. It's really fun.
Any pro wrestlers?
Possibly.
I can't wait for all the pro cricket players.
I've got a whole bunch already written down. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, from around the world. It's really cool. Yeah, we've got a really cool concept for how we're putting it together.
I'm so excited for you, Scott.
And KB Tibbs set up the perfect tweet because I tweeted about it, and then KB Tibbs said, you're going from geeks to sports. That's it was something like it's everything. And I said, yep, I'm covering all my bases.
I got your third book pitch.
Yeah.
I got your third book pitch right here. Naming Your Little Monster. All horror.
Believe me, I've thought of that in like a villains book would be cool. So there are lots of other places. I have lots of ideas. But
Get one out by Halloween, baby.
Love it.
right.
Yeah.
It's a constant state of Halloween. Always.
Yeah. Always. Yes. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us.
Do we know who's up next week? I know we have a schedule.
Good question.
I don't know. I need to check that out. But we just had trivia. It might be Jess. I believe it might actually be.
I
Jess.
was Christmas, so
No, you're Christmas. So it should be Cameron. Then maybe
It's me.
Cameron or Andy.
It's got to be either Cam or Andy.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
If it's me, I'll probably be doing another wrestling. I want to revamp a couple of teams. There's
Make it New Japan. Just leave the WWE behind.
Oh man, I mean, there's also.
We also need to add Zach
since I have
Perlman and
access
Alexis.
to like N64 and GameCube wrestling games.
Oh, you want WWE No Mercy? You gonna bring out some No Mercy?
Maybe, yeah. Whatever the good ones are, I'll have to check
Interesting.
it out. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So go take a break and then look for Andy coming on in just a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be probably like 10 minutes or something. Don't worry about
Okay.
baton pass. But yeah, thanks,
Okay.
chat. Thanks everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Good night, everybody. Bye bye.